right, everybody, welcome to week 3 of the Preach and the Prodigy. It is 2022, and we are already approaching the 1/4 mark. It's like the first lap of a 1,600 meter race.
Crazy.
And a lot of interesting things have happened already. You just got done with your first game, broken the new football field in Sheldon with a
30-6 win.
30-6 win over the Orabs, playing wide receiver. Good game by your whole team. And now we turn our attention to the upcoming college football Saturday. No games on Friday or Sunday. Florida State, Louisville, I think, is Friday night. But most of our attention here will be on the Saturday games. Both of us 4-6 on the season. Any reactions to what we saw last weekend? Scott Frost gets fired. Matt Campbell gets over the hump against that vaunted Iowa offense, which managed to do, what is it? Is it a torch clown? What is it when you put the ball in the end zone?
I don't know.
I can't remember
it's unseen for Iowa.
Right. No, they got one of those. Well, what are your other big takeaways? Bama gets pushed. Some upsets in the top 10.
Bama is human. They're beatable. They almost got beat by Texas, who went 5-7 last year.
And with a backup quarterback.
With a backup quarterback.
For most of the game.
So I do feel like if Quinn Ewers stayed healthy, they would have probably won that game because they were moving the ball very well, and Bryce Young was struggling in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Saban could not have been happy after like 5 pass interference calls. He looked ticked the whole time. Other than that, Iowa State beats Iowa.
Some big surprise in College Station as the Aggies lose to Appalachian State.
Yeah,
that's
and then
not pretty.
And then the poor Irish got beat by Marshall.
Notre Dame loses to Marshall. And a little bit of the luck of the Irish may be sort of evaporating from Marcus Freeman, who's now 0-3 in real games. Recruiting like a monster, but what's happening in practice and on the field is not good. Losing in Columbus, there's no shame in that, but losing at home to the Thundering Herd with no Leftwich playing quarterback for Marshall anymore. So with that, let's move on to week 3. We're going to begin. Let's start with the game on the Plains. The Penn State Nittany Lions, currently ranked number 22 in the country, travel south. This is a home and home last year that I believe Auburn did manage to pull out in the end in a whiteout environment, which is pretty impressive. Now we have Penn State favored in the return game down to Alabama, where they'll play the Tigers, who are unranked but 2-0 under Brian Harsin. Your thoughts?
I think I'm going to stick with what I picked at the beginning of the season. I think Penn State wins this one. I feel more confident with them than I do at Auburn. I don't know really a lot about Auburn at this point. Brian Harsin had a tough time getting things going. Tank Bigsby is still there. Mm-hmm. He's a really good running back. At Auburn, what's the line in this game?
It's Penn State favored by 3.
I don't know. That's a great line. I think I'm going to take Penn State. I know that it's a 50-50 game. It's a toss-up. But I don't know. I just think that they're going to pull this one out. It's going to be close, nonetheless. It's a great line. But I think James Franklin's going to find a way to get it.
I hate that I'm doing this, but I'm going to take Penn State as well. I think Nick Singleton is emerging as a star in the backfield there. It's an SEC stadium. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be rowdy. I just think Penn State's got a better football team. Yes. So I think the line is good. I'm not sure I'd take Penn State, -7.
No.
I think this game's 24-20. Penn State wins. All right, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska. And you know who's not there right now?
Scott
Frost has been terminated. Mickey Joseph takes over as interim head coach. The list of candidates to replace Scott Frost are already rolling out on various prognostication websites. One guess, gun to your head, who's head coach of Nebraska this time next year?
Well, there's a couple people.
Yeah, gun to your head, you only get one pick.
Lance Leipold.
Yeah, It's an interesting pick. All right. So it's number 6, Oklahoma, laying 11 at Nebraska. This was a close game last year down in Norman with Lincoln Riley, with Caleb Williams, with Spencer Rattler. But now the game has moved up to Nebraska.
This one was at 14.5, wasn't it? At one point, Oklahoma State, or they got dropped down, I think, because Scott Frost got kicked out of Lincoln.
I guess I go first on this one.
Yeah, you do.
I'm taking the Sooners. I mean, I think Nebraska's going to have to do a hard reset here. Some teams rally around these situations. I haven't seen anything in Nebraska that makes me think that's the case. Nebraska doesn't stop people at all, and Oklahoma can. Brent Venables with that defense comes in. So I'm going to take Oklahoma to cover this game fairly comfortably. I see this game as a 31-13 type game.
Yeah, they had a tough time getting it going against Kent State. Had to make a rally late to put that one away. I just don't think Nebraska got the
Nebraska's no Kent State.
I don't think Nebraska's just got the players on defense to stop Dylan Gabriel. I think Brent Venables is going to win this one up in Lincoln by big margin.
All right, so we agree again. Let's go to the West Coast now. A couple of games out there. Let's start with the ranked-on-ranked game. The BYU Cougars, ranked number 12, big win over Baylor last weekend in double overtime, laying 3.5 in Autzen Stadium against the Ducks, who bounced back from the demolition and shellacking they took in Atlanta to absolutely house Eastern Washington 70-14. So Oregon is back under Dan Lanning with some life again. They are the favorites at home to the visiting Cougars.
Take Oregon. I think that Georgia on offense looked unstoppable. But I think in light of that, Oregon still did pretty good on offense. They were moving the ball. Turnovers and flags just killed them. That 3 points doesn't seem to be 3. It looks like it could very well be 14, 17. But they still got the guys on defense at home. Just night game again. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Oregon. I think Dan Lanning comes out firing. I think Bo Nix has a good game.
Are those receivers back for BYU? Romney and the other guy?
I think Gunnar Rodney might be. I'm not sure about.
I just wonder right now who's better, Baylor or Oregon, right? Because Baylor and BYU were about the same. So that game was in Provo. This stinks. I'm going to agree with you again. I do think Oregon is going to cover this one. I don't know. You pick first. I'd like to take BYU because I'd like to see BYU have a good season, but I think BYU may see a little bit of a come down to earth after this weekend. That's a tough place to play in Autzen Stadium against the Quack Attack. So I'm going to take Oregon as well. I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game. In the low 30s, something like 35-30, something like that. But I like Oregon to win and cover. Also out west, we'll go one state north. Michigan State ranked number 11, getting 3. Yeah. They are the underdogs to the Huskies. I don't like that at all. Give me Michigan State. This one seems like an easy pick for me. I don't think Washington has the overall team maturity yet to be able to hang with Michigan State. I think Michigan State has had a couple kinks they've had to work out, but I like Sparty to go on the road and to win right out, not just cover. So give me Michigan State.
I gotta agree with you. Their offense.
What a terrible podcast.
Yeah, boy, we're starting.
We're just gonna do format next week. Like one of us gets to pick first, the other person has to just pick the other team.
The offense of Michigan State has looked good, even though Peyton Thorne hasn't really. And
that's according to Michigan State insider Jacob Breen.
Yeah. Jalen Wyndham has been going off Big Ten Player of the Week after 5.5 tackles for loss and like 4 sacks or something. Yeah, I'm not gonna overthink this one. I'm gonna take Michigan State. I know it's technically not a night game. It's 4:30 in Seattle, but I'm gonna take State.
All right, last game of the weekend, we have that team we mentioned that's just kind of staggered and stumbling right now. The Aggies of Texas A&M, ranked number 24 in the country, still a little bit of a fingernail grip on the top 25 there, hosting the number 13 ranked Miami Hurricanes coming in. Miami is getting 6. So A&M is favored by 6 at this point. I'm gonna take Texas A&M. I think that they rally here and get off the mat. I think Miami, they took them a little while to shake free of Southern Miss themselves. So I like the 11th man, Agiel 12th man. Excuse me. Well, I like the 11th man too. That's like their free safety, but their 12th man is the fans. And I'm going to take the SEC team here over Miami.
10th podcast. I'm going to disagree. I don't feel entirely confident about this, but I think it'll, disagree. We got something different on the podcast. I think that Texas A&M probably still will win, but I think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to come down to wire, where it's going to be 3rd down and goal with like 2 seconds left, and the Aggies are up 3 or something, and Miami decides to go for it for the win or something like that. A close game.
Well, you can still a close game either way is going to be a cover for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't feel like I kind of do want to take A&M to cover.
It's expensive at 6.
Yeah, I think A&M still very well could win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. Yeah, I don't see really anything on Texas A&M offense that could prove to me that they could pull away from Miami.
All right, so we're going to disagree on that one. So there's no way we're going to be tied.
Someone's going to be different.
By the way, just last week we didn't make an official tiebreaker, but we picked the spread on Michigan-Hawaii. You took Michigan to cover 51.5.
And they definitely could have.
If it weren't for a holding penalty, defensive holding on Amarian Walker that led directly to a
also,
touchdown.
I was watching Scott Van Pelt, Bad Beats. Money line, though. Over-under on that game was 66.5, and it was 66. And Hawaii got the ball 1st down and goal at like the 3.
4th down and goal.
Well, yeah, it was 1st down, and then they ran the ball 3 times. When you could have passed a slant and got in. Well, then they finally decide to throw a bubble screen, which
Jaden Hood broke it up.
Yeah, which I don't know, didn't work for us in.
But make no mistake about it, we all know that Michigan could have covered 70. I mean, it was 42-0 at the half,
and we weren't even playing.
It wasn't even
that entire half.
It wasn't even that close. I mean, it was. Hawaii put up virtually no resistance at all to the first team offense, nor did they threaten the first team defense in any real way. So, but again, let's just do it for fun. Michigan, a 46-point favorite at home against Jim Mora and the Connecticut Huskies.
Under?
You're going to take.
Well,
I don't know what the over/under is.
Yeah, well, yeah. I meant to say I'm going to take UConn. We won by 46 against Hawaii, and UConn is better than Hawaii.
I'm taking Michigan. I think J.J. McCarthy plays into the second half. I think at least one freshman wide receiver gets a touchdown here. I think we see a lot more C.J. Stokes, who's emerging. Donovan Edwards seems like he's got a little bit of some kind of an injury. I think Michigan wins this game 65-10. Something like that.
Wonder what the line on the Iowa-Nevada game's going to be Iowa by 2.5 probably.
We can probably look it up.
Final
You
score.
want you want to know the answer to that one? We always use ESPN line here, so let's take a look at the current line. Iowa, Nevada. Go to the Big Ten here.
Oh boy, it's a night game. 6:30 bottom.
So the line is, drum roll please.
What
Iowa by 23.5. Well, remember, most of Nevada's team is now playing for Colorado State.
I don't care. When you can't score on offense, there's no shot you're beating the team by 24 points.
Nevada is
Ride the pack.
Nevada is 2-1 right now, and 2-1 against the spread. On the season, they they beat Texas State, they beat New Mexico State, and they lost to the University of Incarnate Word Cardinals. Incarnate Word, man, those guys can ball.
You don't just roll out a bad thing. You can beat the Cardinals of Incarnate Word.
Just ask the Gospel of John. So with that, I'm the preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
That's it for week 3.
Peace.